Hey everybody, how's it going? Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be talking about cherry picker varieties and general errors on the 1946 to today. So that's all the way to 2021 for your Jefferson Nickels. Basically, everything beyond World War II. There were a lot of Jefferson Nickel errors then and then before that, so we split those two into separate videos, but I'm going to be explaining these errors by showing clear photos, then also below having a price guide of sorts at different conditions so that I can explain exactly what you're looking for. They're often going to be worth a lot of money, surprising amounts, and then give you a sense of the pricing. So let's go to the presentation. And there's so much to cover, so I'm going to be a little bit quicker in terms of how I explain these. But the very first one is going to be a double die reverse on 1946 nickels, so the very first year that we're talking about. But this one's a little unusual. It's not on lettering. It's going to be a doubled building Monticello. There's going to be a southward spread. You can see it in the Monticello lettering below, and as you can see, sometimes it's more obvious, but here it's just above the E. There it's through all of the letters, and mint state coins range from $150 to $450, so definitely good if you can find it. The next one is 1946D nickel inverted mint mark, so it's almost like a repunching, except it got inverted the first time, so then they punched it again, and this can be found, all the mint marks will be found to the right of Monticello for 1964 and back. This one is going to be $150 in AU53, $500 in Mint State 63, and $1,300 in Mint State 65. So definitely a good idea, even if you see just a regular certified 1946D, to check for this inverted mint mark. You can see it protruding mostly to the left of the existing mint mark. After that, we look for the 1946S double die obverse. It has remarkably similar values to the last one. The first time I filmed this presentation, I actually redid it because I was like, whoa, I probably just messed up the values. They're sourced from PCGS. But no, you want to be looking for bars all throughout the Liberty in terms of clear doubling. There's just clear separation all throughout the lettering in Liberty. Less strong split serifs and more just that separation, as you can see, different protrusion in the R all to the kind of right of the lettering. The next one is an over mint mark D over S from 1949. And in this case, you can see the S kind of peeking out above the main part of the D mint mark, though it's a little bit tricky to see, as you can, tell on the right one, or on the left one, excuse me. You're going to have to look pretty close. And this one is $100 in AU53, $200 to $400 in Mint State, so definitely commands a nice premium. Then the next one, kind of continuing the theme of inverted mint marks, we've got 1953D, and same thing, you're going to see it kind of peeking out of the left part of that mint mark. Mint State 63, $100, Mint State 65, $450. After that, we've got another valuable repunch mint mark, and it always amazes me how much money these command because a lot of the ones on pennies hardly get any. But here, you're going to want to look kind of inside of the D mint mark, and $300 is going to be the prize if you can get it in Mint State 63, $850 in Mint State 65, but it's going to be a pretty minuscule error, but you can find it by just checking. There looks like a little bit of protrusion to the bottom of it, but it's really best to just look in the gap in the middle of the letter. Then for 1954S, there's some double die reverse, again with Monticello, and this time it's kind of tilted in the bottom left corner of the steps, and that will come out above the N and slightly to the left and above of the T. So also want to look for that because $75 for Mint State 63, $300 for Mint State 65. Plus, it's just great to find an error anytime. And then there's also a repunch mint mark when it's a 1954S. This one's a little clearer. There's going to be kind of it's separated stems in the top of the letter. And this one's $35 for Mint State 63 and $150 for Mint State 65. On a select few other 1954S nickels, still looking at the letter, but there's an S over a D mint mark, and the D mint mark will be showing clearly underneath the existing S mint mark. This is about $50 for Mint State 63 and $175 for Mint State 65. Next, we have the 1955D over S. Again, there's just a remarkable number of these over mint marks. I think this is either the last one or one of the last ones, and it's a D over S. This time you can see the S peeking out above the main mint mark. Just not quite as clear, but I think there's still enough where you can tell it's like the D mint mark is pretty thick, and then there's just that kind of northeast S at the top. Mint State 63, $60. Mint State 65, $150. So not quite as much as some of the other ones, but still commands a nice price. And then the quadruple die reverse 1956 is also something that I'll look for. The separation is not always super clear, but you can see in the stems of the M, there's just a lot of small little doublings, much thicker than it would normally be. And then it's a little bit trickier to see, but also here in the I, Mint State 63 is $65, and Mint State 65 goes all the way up to $375. There's also a triple die reverse, which is a little bit easier to identify from my perspective. You can see the separation in the S along the top of the T and the E, and then when you look over here, also in the base of the E, there's some split serifs. This one is lower valued. Mint State 63, like $38 is the list price. Mint State 65, about $135. Then we get another repunched mint mark on the 1958 D nickel. This one mostly comes out on the left side of the D. And again, just has really, really large prices, $225 to $1,500 as we climb in the mint state range. The next one is a triple die reverse. I think this one is a little clearer than some of the other examples we've seen. And I say the best way to look at it is the serifs in the U, just very, very obvious tripling, as well as the tops of the N's, and then the bottom in those serifs in the M. Mint State 63, $75, Mint State 65, $250. And a lot of times the values are going to fall pretty sharply in the AU range, though sometimes it's pretty rare that these come up. So if you have an AU one that's certified, I could see people paying a decent bit if there's not a ton of other ones on the market. There's also the quite valuable 64D repunch mint mark, and I don't even think that this is that apparent. So I have no idea why it's getting 200 for Mint State 63 and then 3,000. That's not an error in Mint State 65. You can see it again, kind of a little bit to the left, just a slight repunching. But if people want to pay that, they can. Then we jump 50 years, or that's a terrible calculation, 40 years to 2004 for a double die obverse on a 2004 P piece nickel. It's a different reverse, but I think the best way to see it is going to be here in the 4, in the zeros here. There's just a slight spread, and this one is a $40 coin in Mint State 63, $75 for Mint State 65. And then we conclude things with a 2005D Bison nickel that is speared. So I guess there's what looks to be a spear through the Bison here. It kind of extends from the bottom of what kind of would be its torso through it until the E in States of America. And this one in AU53 is $50, Mint State 63 is $150, and Mint State 65 is $250. And that's the end of the presentation. So until they make a new significant error, this presentation will be up to date in terms of all of the officially recognized ones by the major grading companies that you can have attributed. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and get in touch with me on my website, treasuretown.yt.com, Facebook, Treasuretown, Instagram @TreasuretownYT, or Twitter @Treasuretown_YT, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my future vids.